welcome to the Fruit Snacks Podcast. I'm your host, Emily Wardrop from Drop the Word Life Coaching. I am the T1D Moms Coach. I'm here to help you manage your mental and emotional health while managing your child's diabetes. 2 of my 5 kiddos have been diagnosed, and so I'm very familiar with your struggles, and I don't know where I'd be without these life coaching tools and the gospel of Jesus Christ to get me through the day and night. Thank you for joining me as we journey towards feeling less scared, sad, and stressed, and start feeling more calm, confident, and connected. Let's get started. All right, who's ready to talk about getting on the same page with your spouse? We all throw this phrase around like it's a thing. You just got to get on the same page, right? So this is another one of those life coaching concepts that I spent years trying to wrap my head around, and then diabetes happened. So I've spent another few years trying to wrap my head around it again, and it's very useful, but it's counterintuitive. And so we really have to redirect. So basically, when we say we need to be on the same page with our spouse, what are we even talking about? What is this metaphor? The same page of what? So in parenting, right, I always thought we need to be in the same page on parenting, right? The way we discipline our kids, the values that we have, all the things that we want to teach our kids, teach them not to do rules, right? We need to be on the same page with the rules. So maybe it's the same page in the rule book that we're talking about. So when I first became a mom, I had no idea what I was doing. And so I read all the books, right? And so now I'm the expert because I've read the books, and I got to tell my husband what's on those pages so that he can get on the same page and parent the same way I was, right? And as if reading the books wasn't driving me crazy enough, because the books were telling me how to do stuff that was like not even possible. It just did not work for me or my kid. And I was making that mean that I was a bad mom and that this was a big problem and all the things, all the guilt, all the shame. And so as if that wasn't bad enough, then I was trying to inflict it upon my husband too. And he couldn't do it either. But of course I expected him to be able to do it, even though I couldn't do it. But the experts were telling us we had to do it that way, right? And a really good example of that is sleep training, right? Because there are all the books, right? And then it becomes an extra problem because the different books tell you different things. And so you're like, well, what is the right way? So I finally tried to wrap my head around that there's no right or wrong way to parent, right? And that there's just different ways, and that's okay. And then diabetes, right? So then all of a sudden there is a right or a wrong way, right? Like it's life or death now. I always thought it was life or death, but it really is life or death now. Our brains are always going to think it is. But really with diabetes, it really is. And I really had this thought, especially at the beginning. I'm the one spending hours sitting there with the diabetes education nurse or the doctor learning all this stuff. And then you're going to just come in and like manage diabetes however you want. No, like I know the right way to do it, and you need to get on my page, right? So many moons ago, my coach, Jody Moore, tried to convince me that there's an easy way to get on the same page with your spouse. You just get on their page. In fact, she talks about it again, just the other podcast recently, talking about bad advice. Bad advice that we give people is that you need to be on the same page with your spouse. So there's a really easy way to get on the same page is to get on his page. But the reason we don't want to do that is because we're right? We want him to get on our page because we're right. He's wrong. He needs to manage the diabetes the way that the nurses and everybody just spent hours teaching us and training us how to calculate the carbs, how to input the info, how to, give the correct dose, all the things, right? We know the right way. And he comes in and just wants to do it his way. No. So that's where the problem lies, right? Is in the black and white thinking the right way, the wrong way. So I promise you that these life coaching tool concepts apply to diabetes also. There actually is not a wrong way to do it. I mean, there may be a really wrong way to do it, but within the spectrum of the right way, there can be multiple ways. Okay. So we just got to ladder thought ourselves to something believable in that realm. Okay. So perhaps your brain is not going to believe that there's multiple right ways at first, But if you let your husband, manage the diabetes for one night, maybe just give him a trial run and let him try. And what happens for us is that frequently his way is a lot better. So if I can put away my pride and admit that maybe he knows what he's doing, then actually things turn out great. And a lot of the time his way is easier. And if I can just let go of how hard I'm hanging on to the idea that I'm right and he's wrong, then we can get a little color in our life instead of just the black and white, right? So it opens up a whole spectrum of possibilities and ideas. And in order for us to become our own parenting expert, we have to understand that there's multiple right answers. Okay. It's not a one size fits all. So if we're jigging loose our brain a little bit here, this is good. This is good. We want it to feel a little dissonance because we're changing our thoughts, right? And we need practice with the new thoughts in order to believe them. But hang in there, because it really is going to serve us a lot better to understand that there's multiple right ways to manage the diabetes. Then we don't have to be driving ourselves crazy in this rigid box. We can get a little more creative, a little more leeway. So here's what I propose. So instead of the metaphor of being on the same page, what works a lot better for my brain is to think about it as we're on the same team, because together everyone achieves more. Because when we're doing a tug of war where I'm right and he's wrong, and he thinks that he's right and I'm wrong, then we're both just pulling on the tug of war, right? So here at Drop the War Life Coaching, let's drop that war and know that we're on the same team. So if you drop your end of the rope and go start pulling on his side, then the war is over. Okay. So imagine a team effort. Okay. And this is not racquetball we're talking about, where you're against each other and then you're sore for days and days and days after. This is pickleball, right? Or tennis, or a 2-player team, right? We're a team with the same goal. So that's why we need to redirect over and over and over. Instead of fighting with our husband is not the enemy here. We're just trying to manage diabetes together. We have the same goal of keeping our child alive and healthy and thriving. And that actually is not so possible when the two of us are in conflict, right? So I know it's all a lot easier said than done, but we're going to practice with lots of coaching, and you can get there. Okay. It ebbs and flows. There's no perfection, but it's just constant redirect our minds to remember we're on the same team. We have the same goal. Okay. And as we're talking about being on the same team, maybe it's not even tennis. It's not a 2-player team. For the love, mama, please let other people in on your team. You've got to train some grandparents, some neighbors, some friends, somebody to know how to manage your child's diabetes, and let them be on your team so that you can keep your sanity. You've got to have a mental break from the stress of managing their diabetes. You've got to. So my daughters were diagnosed preschool age, and I was terrified to let them go to school with diabetes. I was like, releasing that control is really, really scary. And now it's so glorious. The thought that really helped me is these nurses have been dealing with diabetes a lot longer than I have. So the school has nurses that help manage the diabetes during the day while she's at school. They actually, both of them. And I get to take a break. I get to take a brain break from stressing about their diabetes, and it is glorious. It is mandatory. So please train someone that you trust and let go of that control. I know it's so hard, but you can do it, and do it in little bursts so that you can prove to your brain that it's safe. Everyone's safe. Everything's okay. And let other people in on your team, because managing diabetes is a team effort. You do not have to do it on your own. You do not have to be on the exact same page as your husband. Let him have a little leeway and leave room for lots of mistakes. You're both going to make mistakes. Grace for yourself, grace for him, grace for everybody. Okay. So, that is how you get on the same page with your husband, is that you ditch the playbook, the rule book, open your mind to be a little bit more accepting of new and different ideas and see that it's all leading you to the same goal. Okay. If you have any questions, concerns, comments, I'm always a Zoom call away. You can sign up for a free Zoom chat on my website at dropthewar.com/appointments. You can have a complimentary coaching session. We can talk about anything you hear on this podcast that you want to apply your specific situations in. And of course, every Tuesday at 9:30 a.m. Mountain Time, we do a T1D Moms Support Group call. And you can go to dropthewar.com/T1D to get all the call information. So I will see you on Zoom. Good luck getting on the same team. You do not need to be on the same page, just the same team. You got this, Mama. Hello, my sweet T1D parent friend. The next time you catch yourself thinking that you can't do this anymore, redirect your brain to Philippians 4:13 and remind yourself that you can do all things through Christ, which strengthens you. As your life coach, I'm here to be a conduit to help you get your brain and body aligned in order for your spirit to clearly communicate with His Spirit to become your own diabetes parenting expert. Go to dropthewar.com/appointments for your complimentary coaching session, and let's do this thing.